The rain poured heavily outside as the dim glow of a single bulb filled my small apartment. I sat by the window, staring at the city lights of Lagos shimmering through the downpour. It was late, almost midnight, but my mind wouldn't let me rest. My phone vibrated on the table beside me. It was a text message from my younger sister, Amara. "Please, don't forget to send the rent by tomorrow, Chike. Things are tight right now. 6,800 Nigerian nairas, no excuses this time." I stared at the screen, my jaw tightening. 6,800 Nigerian nairas? That was triple the amount I had been paying just 3 months ago. For a moment, I thought it was a mistake. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. Amara and I had always been close growing up. Our parents died when we were still in secondary school, leaving the two of us to rely on each other. I sacrificed everything for her, my education, my dreams, just so she could go to university. I worked menial jobs, sometimes going hungry so she could have enough to eat. But something had changed over the past 2 years. Amara had become different. After she graduated and got a good job at a finance company, she started seeing herself as superior. She dressed in designer clothes, spoke with a fake accent, and acted like she was above everyone, including me. Still, I tried to be patient. The apartment we lived in had been passed down from our late uncle. It wasn't much, just a 6-unit building in a modest neighborhood. Amara handled the tenants and collected the rent while I stayed in one of the units. It had always been our safe haven. Until she suddenly decided to start charging me like I was a stranger. The first time, she raised the rent from 2,000 Nigerian nairas to 3,000 Nigerian nairas, claiming that cost of maintenance was high. I didn't complain, even though I was barely getting by as a junior mechanic at the auto shop. But now, tripling it to 6,800 Nigerian nairas was beyond ridiculous. My heart felt heavy as I put the phone down. The next morning, I went to work with a dark cloud over my head. The smell of engine oil and grease filled the air at the shop. My boss, a gruff old man named Musa, noticed my mood immediately. "Chike, you dey vex," Musa said, wiping his hands on a rag. "What happened?" I hesitated. Musa wasn't just my boss, he was like a father figure to me. "It's my sister. She increased my rent again. Tripled it this time." Musa's eyes widened. "Ha! Triple? Nah, oh, what'n you go do now?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I don't want to fight her. She's family." "But Musa, how am I supposed to pay that kind of money? My whole salary no even reach that amount." He placed a firm hand on my shoulder. "Listen, family or not, you must set boundaries. Some people, if you allow them, they will walk on your head. Even blood relatives." His words stuck with me all day. That evening, I went to see Amara. Her apartment was on the other side of the city, a modern place filled with luxury furniture and expensive decor. She greeted me with a forced smile, her phone still glued to her ear. "Chike, you came." "Hold on," she said to whoever she was talking to before finally ending the call. "So, about the rent. You have the money, right?" I swallowed hard. "Amara, that's why I came. 6,800 Nigerian nairas is too much. You know I can't afford that. Please, can't we just keep it at the old rate?" Her expression hardened instantly. "Old rate? Chike, you're living there for almost free while I'm the one managing everything. Do you know how much stress I go through dealing with tenants? If you can't pay, maybe it's time you find somewhere else." My heart twisted. "Amara, that's our uncle's house. Our family home." She cut me off sharply. "No, Chike. It's my house. Uncle made me the manager before he died. You're just a tenant like everyone else. Stop acting entitled." Her words felt like a knife to my chest. I clenched my fists, trying to stay calm. I have always been there for you, Amara. When you had nothing, who worked day and night so you could finish school? Who skipped meals so you could eat? Now you want to throw me out like a stranger? For a brief second, guilt flickered in her eyes. But it quickly disappeared, replaced by cold indifference. This is business, Chaik, she said flatly. Sentiment doesn't pay bills. You either pay or leave. Simple. I left her place feeling like a broken man. The city streets blurred as I walked aimlessly, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to scream, to fight, to expose her for what she was becoming. But another part of me remembered the promise I made to our dying uncle years ago: look after Amara. No matter what happens, protect her. I couldn't bring myself to hurt her, even now. But then, an idea began to form. The next week, I quietly went about my life as usual. I didn't argue with Amara. I didn't fight or protest. When she sent me reminders about the rent, I simply replied, working on it. Meanwhile, I made a few discreet visits to a lawyer friend of mine, Obi. You're telling me you want to transfer ownership of the entire building into your name? Obi asked, adjusting his glasses. Yes, I said firmly. The documents already list me as co-owner with Amara. I just need to finalize it legally. I don't want her to know yet. Obi studied me carefully. Are you sure about this, Chaik? It could create a huge rift between you two. I nodded. She's already pushed me to the edge, Obi. I don't want revenge. I just want to remind her that blood should mean something. A few days later, I finally had the deed in my hands. The building was officially under my name. That evening, I went home to find a notice taped to my door. My heart sank as I read it. Final eviction notice. Failure to pay 6,800 Nigerian nairas by tomorrow will result in immediate eviction. So, she was really going through with it. I smiled bitterly, shaking my head. All right, Amara. Let's see how this plays out. The next day, I invited her over under the pretense of discussing the rent. She arrived looking smug and confident, her designer heels clicking against the tiled floor. Well, Chaik, she said with a smirk, I hope you have my money ready. I gestured for her to sit. Actually, I wanted to talk first. About family. About what this house really means. She rolled her eyes. Chaik, please. I don't have time for sentimental speeches. Either you pay or you leave. I took a deep breath, my voice calm and steady. Amara, do you know why I didn't fight you when you raised the rent? Because I wanted to see how far you'd go. I wanted to believe there was still some part of my little sister left inside you. She frowned, confusion creeping into her features. What are you talking about? I reached into my bag and pulled out the deed, placing it gently on the table. Because, you see, I said softly, this building, it's mine. Her face went pale instantly. She picked up the papers, her hands trembling as she scanned them. W what? No. This can't be real. It's very real, I said quietly. Uncle left it to both of us. But now, legally, it belongs to me alone. So tell me, Amara, who's the tenant now? Her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. For the first time, she had no words. You were ready to throw me out on the street, I continued, my voice breaking with emotion. Your own brother. The one who gave up everything for you. And for what? Money? Tears welled up in her eyes. Chaik, I didn't mean. No, I said firmly, standing tall. You meant every word. You saw me as a burden. Well, now you understand how it feels to be powerless. Amara fell to her knees, clutching the papers. Please, Chaik. Don't do this. Don't evict me. I stared at her for a long moment, my heart aching. Finally, I said, I won't throw you out. But you'll leave the management of this building forever. And from today, you will pay me rent at the original rate. Consider it mercy. As she nodded silently, broken and humbled, I felt no joy. Because in that moment, I realized something: sometimes, the deepest betrayals don't come from strangers. They come from the ones we love the most. And when they do, winning doesn't feel like victory. The silence between Amara and me that evening was suffocating. She sat on the couch, her hands trembling as she clutched the deed papers. I stood by the window, looking out at the streetlights glowing faintly through the evening mist. For years, I had dreamed of this moment, not out of malice, but as a way to finally make her see how far she had strayed. And now that it had come, there was no joy in it. Only sadness. Amara finally broke the silence, her voice hoarse. Chike, I don't know what came over me. I was wrong. She sniffled, wiping her tears with the back of her manicured hand. I let greed control me. I thought because I had money, I was powerful. I forgot what truly matters. Her words might have seemed sincere to anyone else, but to me, they felt hollow. This wasn't the first time she'd apologized, only to repeat the same hurtful behavior later. You didn't just forget, Amara, I said quietly, my back still turned to her. You chose to forget. Every step you took, every decision you made, you knew what you were doing. She buried her face in her palms. I was scared, Chike. Scared of going back to being poor, to being that helpless girl after our parents died. I thought if I had control, if I managed the building alone, I'd never feel powerless again. Her voice cracked with pain, and for a moment, I saw a glimpse of the little sister I once knew. I turned to face her. Power isn't about control, Amara. It's about responsibility. Uncle didn't leave us this house so we could fight over it. He left it so we would always have a home, a place to belong. She lowered her hands, her eyes red and swollen. I understand now. I promise, I'll never try to take advantage of you again. The following days were tense but peaceful. Amara moved out of the manager's unit and returned to her upscale apartment across town. I took over handling the building's affairs, repairs, tenant issues, and rent collection. At first, it felt strange. I wasn't used to being in charge. But slowly, I began to appreciate the role. The tenants respected me, and I treated them fairly. Unlike Amara, I didn't see them as just sources of income. One evening, as I was repairing a leaky faucet in one of the units, Musa stopped by to check on me. So, you finally stand up for yourself, eh? He said with a proud grin. I chuckled. Something like that. He studied me carefully. But I see worry still in your eyes. What is it, Chike? I hesitated before answering. I don't want to lose my sister completely. Even after everything she did, she's still my only family. Musa nodded thoughtfully. Family ties are like ropes. They can stretch, tangle, even break. But sometimes, with patience, they can be mended. His words gave me hope. 2 weeks later, Amara showed up at the building unexpectedly. She looked different, humble. Chike, she said softly, I came to thank you for not throwing me out when you had the chance. And to tell you, I got a promotion at work. I smiled faintly. That's good news. She shifted uncomfortably. I also wanted to make amends. I know I can't undo what I did, but I want to help you manage this place fairly this time. Her sincerity caught me off guard. Actions speak louder than words, Amara, I said cautiously. If you truly mean it, show me. She nodded firmly. I will. As she left, I couldn't help but wonder if this was the first step toward healing the wounds between us. But deep down, a small voice whispered, "Trust, once broken, is never fully whole again." Months passed, and life slowly settled into a new rhythm. The building was thriving under my management, and the tenants seemed happier. Repairs were done on time, rent stayed fair, and for the first time in years, there was a sense of stability. Amara visited from time to time, always offering to help. She even started bringing groceries for the tenants and sometimes paid for minor repairs out of her own pocket. On the surface, it looked like she was changing. But deep inside, I remained cautious. I had learned the hard way that trust isn't built on words or temporary gestures, it's proven through consistent actions over time. One rainy evening, I was reviewing rent receipts in my small office when I heard a knock on the door. "Come in," I called out. Amara stepped inside, drenched from the rain but smiling warmly. She handed me an envelope. "What's this?" I asked, puzzled. "Half of my salary for this month," she said softly. "Consider it my way of helping with building expenses. I don't want you to carry this burden alone." I stared at her, surprised. For a moment, my heart softened. Maybe she truly was changing. "Thank you," I said quietly, setting the envelope aside. "This means a lot." She sat down across from me. "Chaik, I've been doing a lot of thinking. About us. About the mistakes I made. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I hope one day you can see me as your sister again, not just someone who betrayed you." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I took a deep breath. "Amara, you'll always be my sister. That won't change. But forgiveness, it takes time. It's not just about saying sorry. It's about rebuilding what was broken." She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. Weeks later, an incident occurred that tested her sincerity. One of the tenants, Mom Nkechi, fell behind on her rent after her small food stall was robbed. She came to me, trembling and embarrassed, explaining that she needed just 2 weeks to recover. Before I could respond, Amara, who happened to be visiting, stepped forward. "Don't worry, Mom Nkechi," she said gently. "I'll cover your rent this month. Focus on getting back on your feet." The old woman broke down in tears, hugging Amara tightly. "God bless you, my child. God bless you." I stood there, stunned. This was the same Amara who once threatened to throw me out of my home. Later that night, I asked her why she did it. She smiled sadly. "Because I finally understand, Chaik. Money isn't worth losing the people we love. I hurt you, I hurt others, and for what? Empty pride. I don't ever want to be that person again." Her words were genuine, and for the first time, I believed her. Months rolled by, and our relationship began to heal. There were still scars, of course, moments when old wounds resurfaced, but we faced them together. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, I turned to her and said, "Do you ever think about how close we came to destroying everything?" She nodded quietly. "Yes. And it scares me. But it also reminds me of what matters most." I smiled faintly. "Family. Family," she echoed. "Greed and pride can destroy even the strongest family bonds, but humility and forgiveness can rebuild them. True power lies not in ownership or control, but in love, understanding, and the courage to do what's right." As the sun dipped below the horizon, I realized something profound. Wealth fades, houses crumble, and titles mean nothing, but the ties of family, when nurtured with care, can last a lifetime.